Hi everyone, before you get started watching this video, I just want to make a quick correction. I misspeak really soon into the video when I'm describing what abstract thought is. And I said that abstract thought doesn't help with external tools, and what I meant to say is when you're thinking abstractly, you're thinking without the help of any external tools. So sorry about that little misphrasing there, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hi everyone, my name is Nate Sheets with Organ Behavior Consultation, and in this video we're going to start talking about painting the picture. In previous videos we've talked about the difficulty that many people with an FASD have around abstract thought and even more specifically with planning. When we say abstract thought, we mean just that. Thoughts, ideas, imagining, planning, and problem solving, that's all happening in our brains and doesn't help with any external tool like communication or visuals. Many situations that we encounter require all of these types of abstract thought, and that can be a problem in the everyday life of people with executive functioning challenges, including people with an FASD. It's also hard for neurotypical people like us to understand this, because to us, planning barely seems like a skill much of the time, and because it can feel so natural to us, we may forget that the person that we're interacting with may not be able to use these same skills very easily. Every day, you and I go around living our life, continuously planning and then adjusting those plans. Let's imagine that we're in our car, driving to work, and suddenly the traffic stops. We see a sign that says the road we want to get on has construction and that there are going to be delays. Immediately, our minds brainstorm detours and visualize potential solutions. We're then able to take a turn and go down some side streets that allow us to still get to work on time. That ability to visualize a solution to a problem is a cognitive skill. This situation uses several skills on the free Organ Behavior Consultation skills list, which you can find in the description below. And the skills that it includes are 2, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 19, and 22. In other words, the situation's complicated. Or maybe we're at work and our manager tells us that a coworker has called in sick. And now what we need to do is take care of their major duties as well as our own. Our brains must think about 1, what our coworker usually does, and 2, how we're going to do both our job and theirs throughout the course of our shift. In this scenario, we're likely using skills 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 13, just to name a few. In both of these cases, our executive functioning system quickly and efficiently helps us to adjust through planning. Even if we feel stress about these situations, generally speaking, we can emotionally regulate ourselves to stay focused and to follow through. Emotional regulation is skill number 5 on the cognitive skills list. But imagine if all of this thinking doesn't come naturally to you. This would mean that after finding out the road was closed, our brains wouldn't immediately and easily start coming up with potential solutions. Instead, our brain might get stuck, which causes anxiety and escalation. When this happens, skill number 5, emotional regulation, may or may not be much of a help until we find a solution to our problem. And the solution here isn't to try harder in order to be able to suddenly have the ability to think abstractly. That's not how it works. We need help. Perhaps a visual, non-abstract GPS would be better than relying on our own brain. Or if we can think abstractly but just need more time, we could pull over for a moment to think. Not having these skills developed and accessible will create similar situations in other areas as well. Imagine that after hearing our manager tell us to figure out how to adapt without our coworker, our brain gets overwhelmed. This could have nothing to do with the actual tasks that we're going to eventually need to do for our coworker, but rather because we don't have the tools to organize when and how to get those tasks done. It's not about the task, in other words. It's about the path to get there. And so we begin to see how not being able to quickly and efficiently and instantaneously plan may create issues in the day-to-day life of a person with an FASD. They may only be able to think about what's going on right now and not be able to plan ahead very well. Whenever you or I are in a tense situation, we may actually use our planning skills to help us emotionally regulate, telling ourselves everything will be all right, first I need to do this, and then I'll be good to go. But because people with FASDs and other developmental neurologies don't always have the ability to use those skills in the moment, walking themselves through how to move forward isn't really a strategy for their own regulation. And if that's your expectation of them, that they do it on their own, that's probably an unreasonable expectation. And we have that expectation of people a lot. Really, it doesn't take much for us to be able to relate to not being able to make a plan and to see what happens when we're expected to do so. Remember our first example in the car? Well, imagine that you're finding out that the road is closed, but instead of being by yourself on your way to work, you have a car full of kids and the music is blaring. If there are a lot of noises or stressors, even the neurotypical brain can't do all of this work. We may turn down the radio immediately to help ourselves think and tell everyone in the car to be quiet. But what if they aren't quiet? What happens then? Well, we can't plan what we should do, and we probably escalate out of frustration. We may snap at everyone to be quiet and yell at them. The issue to us immediately becomes about the stressor, them, rather than the cognitive skill, planning. Just like many people with FASDs, the response we have to not being able to use a skill that we're being demanded to use in a moment is a behavior. Because it's a behavior, it probably won't be obvious as to what's going on in that immediate moment. If we think the issue is planning and thinking, we can help the person by painting the picture. When we paint the picture for someone, we can help their brain plan and adapt more effectively. The problem is we need to be able to correctly identify which behaviors are caused by a cognitive skill challenge, such as planning, rather than another factor. For example, a client of mine was recently escalating whenever her mom would compliment her brother or sister. They could be doing something like cooking at the table together, and when mom would tell her siblings good job, my client would become frustrated or say that she was getting jealous. This was happening in other contexts as well. If mom told her sister that she did a good job at school, my client would escalate. If her brother was praised for helping clean up the toys, my client would escalate. Now, it would be pretty easy to think that this is a clear situation. After all, my client was even using the word jealousy to describe what was going on. But avoiding jealousy isn't a cognitive skill, and you all know that my first approach is going to be to consider these skills. And there could be a lot of things going on here. I wondered if this could be an issue with planning and abstract thought. Let's strip everything down to cognitive skills. My client is doing her thing and suddenly, out of nowhere, her mom gives her siblings some positive attention. Now, from a neurotypical point of view, this doesn't seem like it should be a stressor. But think of the compliment as an unexpected event or transition during a time where my client is expecting something else, perhaps quiet time reading. Right now, she has a picture painted or a current plan, and that plan is everyone sitting quietly and reading. When mom says good job to a sibling, that goes against this plan, and because my client struggles with planning and adjusting in the moment, this actually creates a stress. It's not about the compliment, it's about the unexpected nature of it. It's one thing to say all of that, but how do we know? Well, in order to see if this had to do with planning, I encouraged her mom to simply tell my client that she was about to compliment the siblings, or to even ask my client for help in doing so. If the issue is planning, then simply painting the picture for my client ahead of time would stop the compliments from being unexpected. And sure enough, this seems to be working. Knowing about the compliment just a few moments before it happens has stopped these situations from being a problem. And this is exactly what a cognitive support is. We identified a potential skill that was contributing to a behavior, planning, and we put in a support to help enhance the skill. In this case, painting the picture ahead of time, instead of expecting my client to do it all on her own abstractly in the moment. Now, let's be clear. I just guessed. Many suggestions I give parents attempting to provide a cognitive support don't work the first time. That may mean that we try a different support for the same skill that we think is causing the behavior, or we consider other skills or issues. It may still be that jealousy was a factor in my client's behavior and that it could come up again. Or it could be that she was having a cognitive skill problem that looked like simple sibling jealousy to everyone, including her. Over time, her mother will likely be able to use the support less and less because my client will learn that there's no threat in mom giving siblings positive attention. It's a good thing that she can join in on. So how often do similar unexpected events happen in the day-to-day life of your child or client with an FASD? Probably dozens of times per day. And it may not always be clear what's going on is a cognitive skill issue, even to the person experiencing it. You can find more examples of painting the picture in our free PDF worksheet, which we'll link to in the description below. We'll continue to talk about the importance of painting the picture in future videos. Thank you for watching our videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and like our page on Facebook. If you find our videos and podcasts are helpful to you, please consider being a monthly patron of Organ Behavior Consultation by giving to us through patreon.com. You can support us starting at just $1 a month. Thanks for watching.